In the small town called Braywood, there lived a young boy named Timothy. Timothy was shy and introverted, and he struggled to connect with other children in his neighborhood. His attempts at friendship were often met with rejection and misunderstanding. They did not understand Timothy, since he was very secluded and found solace being alone. Timothy's parents were very concerned about his lack of friends, and often watched with aching hearts as their son withdrew further as time passed. School became a daily struggle for Timothy. He spent his lunch breaks alone and was often teased and bullied by other children. This made him feel even more like an outsider. The more Timothy tried to fit in, the more he realized he was different. As the years went on, Timothy's isolation became a vicious cycle. He withdrew from social interactions completely, and his parents found it harder to free him from the self-imposed walls he built around himself. Timothy spent most of his time within the closed walls of his bedroom, unwilling to interact with anyone, including his parents. One night, as Timothy lay in bed, he heard a soft whisper in his ear. Startled, he sat up, looking around the room, but there was no one there. He brushed it off as his imagination playing tricks on him and lay back down, hoping to drift off to sleep once more. But the whispers persisted. Night after night, the voice grew louder, more insistent. Timothy would awaken to find a figure standing at the foot of his bed. The figure introduced himself as Mr. Mortimer and claimed to be Timothy's only true friend. Timothy was fascinated with the idea of having a friend. His only friend, visiting him at night. They would converse about fantastical adventures and share secrets. Timothy often shared his problems and inability to connect with people. Mr. Mortimer would listen intently to Timothy's woes, offering comforting words and understanding. He became the confidant Timothy had always longed for, someone who seemed to genuinely care about his struggles, and more importantly, understand that he was different from others. But as their bond deepened, Mr. Mortimer's true intentions began to reveal themselves. He started subtly suggesting that Timothy could gain power and control by engaging in malicious acts. His whispers grew more insidious, planting seeds of darkness in Timothy's impressionable mind. As Timothy fell deeper under Mr. Mortimer's manipulation, he unknowingly became a pawn in his imaginary friend's sinister plans. The whispers from Mr. Mortimer grew more demanding, pushing Timothy towards increasingly sinister acts, even within the confines of his own home. One night, Mr. Mortimer urged Timothy to do something against his parents. While Mr. Mortimer's voice echoed in his mind, Timothy found himself going to the kitchen and retrieving a knife. Timothy proceeded to his parents' bedroom, knife in hand. Trembling with a mix of fear and anticipation, Timothy stood next to his parents' bed as they slept. He stared at them holding the butcher knife in one hand. Mr. Mortimer continued whispering in his ear. Timothy continued to stare at his parents, feeling darkness growing inside of him. Timothy slowly walked closer to his sleeping parents and quietly placed the knife on the nightstand. He slowly turned and walked towards the bedroom door. Before exiting his parents' bedroom, he turned and stood facing the bed. And he stood, staring at his sleeping parents intensely. His eyes were beaming with anguish. The whispers of Mr. Mortimer remained in his ear. Timothy snapped out of Mr. Mortimer's trance and quickly exited his parents' bedroom, quietly closing the door. The following morning, as his parents awakened and saw the knife lying on the nightstand, they knew it could only be their son who placed the knife in the bedroom, sending them a message. At this point, they knew their son had a serious problem, and they had to help him. Timothy watched from the sidelines as his parents cautiously approached him, questioning him about the knife. Timothy remained silent, noticing the fear in his parents' eyes. A sinister grin emerged on Timothy's face, knowing that Mr. Mortimer would be proud of him. Also, the satisfaction of seeing his parents distraught, their trust in him eroding, sent a chilling thrill through Timothy's veins. Mr. Mortimer's whispers reinforced his actions, assuring him that power and control were within his grasp. As the days passed, Timothy's sinister acts, under the influence of Mr. Mortimer, continued to escalate against his parents. He would tamper with household objects, creating accidents that put his parents' safety at risk. He created gas leaks, caused faulty wiring, and other mysterious incidents became a regular occurrence, instilling heightened fear and paranoia within his own home. Mr. Mortimer's influence and hold on Timothy grew stronger as he continued to plant seeds of wickedness in Timothy's impressionable mind. His sinister whispers continued until Timothy was convinced that he needed to eliminate the source of his pain and isolation. His parents. Mr. Mortimer told him this was his only path to freedom. Thoughts of unspeakable acts flooded Timothy's mind, leaving him torn between the love he once felt for his parents and the dark desires growing within him. One night, overcome by misguided determination, Timothy crafted a plan to harm his parents. He gathered objects from around the house, intending to use them as weapons in a moment of unthinkable violence. But his parents were on alert and installed motion sensors and hidden cameras throughout the home. They watched Timothy as he moved through the house, planting weapons in various areas. His parents watched the live camera footage as Timothy slowly walked through their home. His body moved as if being guided by puppet string. They noticed their son would periodically stop and begin whispering to an unknown presence. Timothy began walking slowly towards his parents' bedroom, his arms hanging stiffly at each side of his body, his steps slow and soft. Timothy was unaware that he was under close surveillance of his parents. Little did he know. They had a plan of their own. They needed to help their son and were willing to do what was necessary. Timothy's parents watched as he stopped in front of their closed bedroom door. He lifted one hand, placed it on the doorknob, and began slowly turning it. Mr. Mortimer whispered to Timothy that he could not fail, and tonight would be the only opportunity for him to obtain unlimited power. Timothy slowly opened his parents' bedroom door. The soft squeak of the door enraged Mr. Mortimer, and he hissed extreme consequences Timothy would face if he caused his parents to awaken. Trembling with fear, Timothy moved even slower, reducing the creaking of the bedroom door. Once the bedroom door was completely open, Timothy slowly took one step into the dark bedroom. He gazed at the bed in front of him. His parents were not there. Within a wink of an eye, his parents grabbed him from both sides and restrained him, holding his arms against his body. Timothy screamed and hissed with sounds that were sinister and unknown to his parents. Timothy then began yelling for Mr. Mortimer to help him. His parents continued to restrain their son, but watched in horror as he continued screaming and beckoning for this unknown person, who he called Mr. Mortimer. Timothy felt lost and helpless, not understanding why his best friend, his only friend, had abandoned him. Timothy eventually calmed himself and began crying hysterically. His parents embraced their son for the remainder of the night. The following morning, Timothy's parents took him for professional intervention. During the first session with the doctor, Timothy's parents discovered the truth about their son's torment. Shock and anguish washed over them as they realized the depth of their child's suffering and the reasons behind the sinister acts he had committed against them. Under the expertise of his doctor, Timothy revealed the existence of Mr. Mortimer and his intentions to devise a plan that would result in him having absolute power. With the support of his family and the help of his doctor, Timothy embarked on a difficult journey to free himself of his imaginary friend. Over time and with tremendous effort, Mr. Mortimer's whispers began to fade. Timothy remained in therapy and began to learn his true self, and embarking on a journey to become more sociable. Timothy was proud of his progress and remained determined to prevent the darkness from consuming him again. Timothy had several weeks of therapy behind him, and he was feeling more confident. One night, Timothy and his parents went to bed after a fun night of pizza, popcorn, and movies. For once in his life, Timothy felt happy and normal. With a smile on his face, Timothy turned off the nightstand lamp and nestled under the covers. As he was nodding off, he heard familiar whispers.
Timothy, I've missed you.